Hey, how you doing? Welcome to this episode from a Las Vegas hotel room. I'm Dawn Ziegler, and this is Love After Divorce, the place for women who become so attractive they get the great guy they want and live happily ever after. In today's episode, we're going to talk some more about these sisters of the unhappily ever after. So far, I've told you stories about Susie Save Me, Passive Patricia, Bitchy Bertha, and Desperate Debbie. And why are we talking about them? Well, because these types of women actually repel good men. And if you're looking to pair up again, listen up. It's time to identify more types of women who are never going to get what they want. Today, I'll tell you about people who say they got screwed over by a romantic partner. All the names have been changed and their stories are being used with permission. Like this woman. Polly is going through a divorce, and as luck would have it, she's in a wonderful support group. It's a group that meets weekly at a local church. Polly is really close with two of the members, Brenda and Adam. They're all in the same boat. They feel sad, scared, and confused. Here's what's happening with Polly. Her soon-to-be ex-husband was having an affair. She describes the shock when she found out through her daughter. They were sitting in their backyard hot tub one evening, and her daughter said, "Mom, Dad's acting really weird with his phone. He has it with him all the time, and he's texting somebody a lot. Something's up." When Polly asked her husband about it, the truth came out. He was having an affair with a woman at work. She was 20 years younger. Polly says she was stunned. She would have described her husband as her best friend. They'd weathered lots of storms, like the kids. Their son had been in and out of substance abuse disorder programs for the past 5 years, and their daughter, who's doing fine now, was diagnosed with cancer at age 3. Polly always felt lucky that their marriage endured it all, or so she thought. She says after her husband admitted to the affair, everything changed. He distanced himself from the kids. He moved out and spent all his time with the new woman child. And he became a huge jerk when it came to money. Their son was still in and out of treatment programs, and she was left alone to deal with it. Her soon-to-be ex was living it up, woman child, and didn't have time to deal with the son. Polly started stalking woman child on Facebook. She about puked when she saw pictures of woman child and her husband. She could not believe this man she'd been with for decades abandoned the family and was traveling with woman child. He never wanted to travel when he was married to Polly, and now he's sunbathing in Maui. And besides the betrayal, she says he became a total dick when it came to the divorce itself. He fought her about the house, the 401k, and everything in the house. He's the one who cheated, but he took her to court. So that's how Polly describes what happened. Now, here's what happened to another one of the ladies in that divorce support group, Brenda. Here's how Brenda describes it. "I can't believe this happened to me. I was married for 8 years. We had 2 young kids. One night, I got home from work and saw a tiny bag of white powder on our dining room chair. Weird. I had no idea what it was. So I asked my husband if he knew. And he did. He said it was cocaine he was holding for a friend. I freaked. What if one of the kids found it? He apologized and said it was a stupid mistake. Not long after that, I was having some female issues. So I went to my OBGYN. I thought I had a yeast infection, but no, I had chlamydia." "What?" I asked, "How'd I get that? The sauna at the gym?" "Well, no." The doctor explained it was a sexually transmitted infection. To say I was gobsmacked would be an understatement. I wasn't having sex with anybody but my husband, but apparently he was. When I confronted him about it, he broke down in tears. Apparently, he'd been keeping a secret, well, many secrets from me. For the past year, he and our neighbor, Josh, had been traveling to a shooting range for target practice. They went every Saturday. At the time, I was really happy that he had made a male friend because often men don't seem to have good social connections. Well, it turns out he and Josh fell in love. I didn't even know he was interested in men. Turns out they also did a lot of coke together. I had no idea my husband was into drugs either. He's not fighting me much about the divorce, and he's giving me everything that I want, and he feels really bad. I just feel everything: bad, betrayal, shock, fear, sadness, anxiety, grief. I've lost 10 pounds and I'm not sure what's going to happen next. I can't imagine ever being in another relationship, ever. And now here's the final story from the other friend from Polly's divorce support group, Adam. He says, my wife, Anna, is abusive. And I'm embarrassed to tell you this because she left me. I'm not sure what I was thinking. We didn't have any kids and we weren't married that long, just 3 years. And it started out great. We got close really fast. I can't even tell you how excited we were to get married in Vegas. Elvis. So much fun, spontaneous, smart, great job. We decided that she'd work full-time and I'd stay in school. I was training to become a barber. So I moved into her house. It was gorgeous. As she said, the house was small, minimalist, and paid off. And to make things even better, she even loved my dog and fenced in the backyard before we moved in. I thought, how considerate, how welcoming. How did I get so lucky? But about 4 months after the wedding, everything started going downhill. She'd become Jekyll and Hyde. Each day, I had no idea what version of her was going to walk through the door. One day, she'd rave about how wonderful I was. She'd compliment what I'd made for dinner and gush about how nice it was that dinner was ready when she walked through the door. Then the next day, she'd be super agitated and demand that dinner be more extravagant. One night, she said, seriously, I'm at work all day and you think grilled cheese and tomato soup are okay? Then she threw the soup and the sandwich across the room and said, looks like you have some cleaning up to do, asshole. It was so weird. I married this dream woman and she turned into a nightmare. I wanted so bad to get my dream woman back, the woman she was while we were dating. I figured she must have some sort of mental disorder, and I knew I had to stay. I figured she was just having a rough time and that she'd realize how mean she was and change. I just wanted the old her back. So I stayed. I did everything I could do to make her happy. I sent her flowers at work. I made her favorite meals. I even did things that she asked me to do when I really didn't want to do them. Once, she asked me to return a dress for her, a fancy dress she wore to a wedding. She kept the tags on it to make it look like it wasn't worn. And I told her I thought that was unethical. So she called me a twat and forced me to return it against my will. She said if I didn't do it, she'd be forced to find a new partner. And that's how it went. I did everything for her. Then one day I got home from barber school and all her stuff was gone. I mean, everything packed up and poof, gone. It was completely empty except for my dog and 2 things she left behind. 1, a note informing me that she was moving to another state and the house had been sold. I had 2 days to get out before I'd be forcefully removed by the authorities. And 2, she left everything I'd ever given her in a pile in the walk-in closet, but all of it was trashed. She'd cut up all of the clothing I'd gotten for her. The vases from those flowers I'd sent her smashed into a million pieces of glass. Wedding photos ripped to shreds. The pile also had a note on it. It said, I left something in the toilet especially for you. There, At the bottom, her wedding band. At the bottom of a toilet bowl full of pee. Needless to say, I fished it out with a hanger. Adam ended his story about what happened with similar sentiments. He felt betrayed, stupid, and helpless. So that was back then, back when Polly, Brenda, and Adam became friends while going through their divorces. Okay, let's fast forward a few years. Things are quite different for the three of them. Brenda met a man on Match. At first, she was worried he'd be too different from her politically, but that was not the case. They were very different politically, but they were a match made in heaven. She's happy to report that after 2 years of dating, they're buying a house together, and she couldn't be more in love. She's actually grateful for her divorce and is thrilled about how everything is working out for her now. Adam has also had some major changes. He finished barber school, got a great job, bought a house, and is in the process of opening a barbershop with one of the women he went to school with. And he's dating a woman who adores him. The only thing she does when he cooks dinner is give him big, fat kisses. But things are not going so well for Polly. She's still super pissed. She blames her ex for what's happening in her life now. She still feels devastated and rails about how her ex totally screwed her over. She says she'll never trust another man. She's gone on a few dates, but figures there's no use since all men are jerks. She ruminates a lot about how all this happened to her. Can you guess what Polly's full name is? It's Powerless Polly. She blames her ex for everything that happened. Many people would call her a victim. In fact, she calls herself a victim. If you give her a minute, she'll tell you all about the things that simply happened to her. It was all him, plain and simple. And that's why she's powerless. When somebody else is the problem, we become powerless. The difference between Polly and her friends is that Brenda and Adam regained all of their power. And then they created new lives for themselves. They became different people, and it shows. They transformed from being a sad victim to being a glorious victor. And you can do that too. It's time to kick Powerless Polly to the curb. There's a specific set of skills you need to go from Powerless Polly to Powerful Polly. We figure out how everything in your life has gone off the rails. And then you get back on the love life journey you're meant to be on. We kill Powerless Polly and attract a wonderful new partner in the process. All it takes is a set of skills you just don't have yet. I have been a Powerless Polly, and it sucks. For years, I would tell you how much of a total dickbag my second husband was. I was so stuck in victim mode, but that is not the case now at all. I'm a powerful Polly, and that is a hell of a lot more fun. And if any of this sounds familiar and you want to get back on track with your love life, check out my site, therebuildingcoach.com. At my site, you can sign up for a free session. We'll figure out the exact problem you're having now so we can get to work eradicating it. Don't let what happened in the past screw up your future. Let's get you back in the driver's seat. See you soon. I'm Dawn Ziegler, and this is Love After Divorce.